our partner to champion this legislation. I'm also thrilled that Congresswoman Jayapal and Congresswoman Presley and Congresswoman Summer Lee are co-leading this critical legislation and are joining us here today as well. I also want to thank Damon Hewitt, President and Executive Director for the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, and Maya Wiley, President and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. I'm proud to stand with them today to reintroduce the AI Civil Rights Act. We're here today at a pivotal time in America. Across Washington, big tech is spending millions of dollars trying to sneak a moratorium on state AI regulation into the annual defense bill. They have endless talking points about AI's real promise for the future, but the harms from AI are just as real and are already here today. Companies have been using AI-powered algorithms for years to make major decisions in Americans' lives. Too often, however, these algorithms are biased against marginalized communities. I call this the AI garbage problem. Garbage, biased data breeds garbage, biased results. Or more succinctly, garbage in, garbage out. It's not hard to find examples of AI's garbage problem. In a 2019 report found that due in part to biased mortgage approval algorithms, lenders were 80% more likely to reject Black applicants than similar white applicants. A 2022 study found that AI models used to predict liver disease were twice as likely to miss the disease in women than in men. A 2025 study found that AI resume screening tools almost never selected Black male names to proceed in the hiring process. This is unacceptable. And that is why today, Congresswoman Clark, Jayapal, Lee, Presley, and I are reintroducing the Artificial Intelligence Civil Rights Act. This bill rests on three pillars: equity, accountability, and choice. First, equity. No company should be allowed to deploy a discriminatory algorithm that is involved in critical decisions in a person's life. Bias is bias, whether it comes from a human or from a machine. Under this bill, algorithmic discrimination will be unlawful, period. Second, accountability. Under the AI Civil Rights Act, companies must test for, identify, and correct discrimination before releasing their algorithms. Silicon Valley's reckless move fast and break things era must end. And finally, choice. When an algorithm makes a critical decision about their lives, Americans deserve the choice to have a human review of that decision. This blueprint is what American leadership in AI looks like, not just technological leadership, but moral leadership as well. In the global race with China to lead on artificial intelligence, we cannot abandon the principles of America in a reckless pursuit of technological superiority. Otherwise, we risk building a future where innovation races ahead, but justice falls behind. And that is why I am so proud to fight with my colleagues for the Artificial Intelligence Civil Rights Act of 2025. Now I will turn it over to my dear friend, a civil rights champion, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke.
Thank you very much, Senator, and greetings, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke, and I'm chair of the Congressional Black Caucus and proud representative of New York's 9th Congressional District, covering Central and Southwest Brooklyn. Before I begin, I'd like to express my gratitude to Senator Markey of Massachusetts, or as I call him, Senator Markey, for his leadership in the fight for a more and just equitable artificial intelligence, as well as to my colleagues, Congresswoman Jayapal of Washington State and Congresswoman Summer Lee of Pennsylvania, who have joined us today. Additionally, thank you to our dear friends, Mr. Damon Hewitt of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under Law, and Maya Wiley, who happens to be my constituent, of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. The future is upon us, and these are the leaders working today and night to make it a better one for as many Americans as we can. I thank them for lending their time, advocacy, support, and expertise to our legislation and the existential cause that it addresses. It is no secret that as we speak today, our nation has found itself in the heart of a new technological revolution, the age of AI. And as we seek to innovate and drive this country forward, we have a duty to ensure that discrimination that has no place but in the past does not become irreversibly entrenched in the technology of the future. And that effort will always begin and end with trust. We need to be able to trust that when as Black Americans go to apply for a bank loan, secure employment, or even enter our own homes, we will not be denied on the basis of algorithmic bias. Americans have the same civil liberties online as they do wherever else they live their lives. And when these liberties are not just infringed upon, but ignored, insulted, and abused to the degree that we have seen in AI's still young life, any inaction from this point forward is totally unacceptable. For years, I have been fighting to confront the many biases deeply embedded within AI systems. The AI Civil Rights Act simply represents a new and bold front in that battle. From developers to deployers, our legislation will place strict, strong, and unambiguous guardrails upon the creation and use of artificial intelligence that will ensure one priority rises above every other: the safety and security of all Americans. That is the only innovation that we're interested in. No innovation, true innovation, means nothing if it excludes the already marginalized. No matter what any billionaire, corporation, or conglomerate might have to say about it, we will never abandon the most vulnerable among us to the consequences of an unthinking, uncaring algorithm arbitrarily finding them unworthy. That's the future that we are fighting for, and that's the future that we will win. And so let me just say thank you again to Senator Markey for leading by my side, along with my colleagues, as well as all the others who are standing with us today. Together, we will ensure the core values of democracy, equity, and transparency are only ever at the center of the technologies of tomorrow. Thank you. Stay safe and stay strong, and have a great day.
Beautiful. And now we're going to hear from a great progressive leader, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal.
Thank you so much, Senator Markey. We have been in many fights together to regulate technology, going back to face recognition technology. And this is another one. I represent Washington's 7th Congressional District. We're the center of much of technological innovation. Many of those companies are located in my district, and I'm elected by people who work for these companies, and they too want the technologies to work for everyone. So I am very proud to stand here today with my incredible colleague, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Yvette Clarke, as well as Summer Lee and Damon, and I think we're going to be joined by Maya Wiley, because this issue that confronts us today is so serious that we cannot afford to wait. This legislation, the AI Civil Rights Act, comes at an inflection point for our country. Artificial intelligence has become a part of our everyday lives, and it's grown into a $244 billion industry. ChatGPT is being used in our schools and workplaces. Self-driving cars are popping up on our streets, and doctors are turning to AI to help make diagnoses. But with great promise always comes great risk, and technologies get released far too quickly without understanding the harms and the risks that they present. AI requires vast amounts of data that is collected from our sensitive private information, which is then hosted in data centers that are skyrocketing our utility costs. And experts are warning of an AI stock market bubble that could pop and devastate our economy. And Congress is way behind on the regulation that we need to be passing to protect Americans from the harms of AI. This bill addresses a major piece of that: bias and discrimination. More than 60 years ago, Congress passed the monumental Civil Rights Act, outlawing discrimination based on race, sex, and other protected characteristics. But the growth of the internet and artificial intelligence has fundamentally transformed the ways in which people see discrimination. More and more, instead of humans denying minorities equal access to employment and goods, algorithms are doing that dirty work. Studies have shown that AI has been used to deny people housing, screen out job applicants, and keep criminal defendants in jail longer based on race and gender. None of this is inevitable, and that's why we need a modernized approach to regulate these algorithms head on and stop this discrimination. Our bill would do just that by placing guardrails at every stage of the development of the algorithms. It requires preliminary evaluations, independent audits to catch potential bias and discrimination both before and after an algorithm is sold, licensed, or used. It also requires developers and deployers to stop using an algorithm altogether if bias and discrimination cannot be stopped. And finally, it increases transparency and empowers individuals with the right to appeal an algorithmic decision and to bring a lawsuit to hold companies accountable if they fail to follow those guardrails. We've got to face this very simple truth. If we do not develop AI with fairness, transparency, and accountability, then AI will give us bias, exclusion, and discrimination. We cannot allow the technologies of the future to harden the injustices of the past. So today we call for a new era of digital civil rights, built on the principle that every person has the right to be treated fairly and to have opportunity. Thank you so much, Senator Markey, and all my colleagues and all our advocates for the work on this. It's a big mountain, but it's one we have to climb. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Excellent job. Next, we're going to hear from Congresswoman Summer Lee from Pennsylvania, who does believe that AI has to stand for all included. A great leader. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I feel like on this rainy day, we need better greetings than we've been getting. But no, I just want to, first of all, again, echoing the thanks of our colleagues who have been leading us, Senator Markey, Rep. Jayapal, and Clark, in your partnership of our advocates. It's really good to be here, but for me, it's important and it's an imperative. I come and I represent Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania. It's a city in a region that is uniquely situated as a town that represents simultaneously both the past and the future. We represent the past with industries and heavy manufacturing, steel. Everyone knows us for that. And also, people don't know this, but we also represent industries and economies of the now and of the future with AI and robotics and space and technology and STEM. Pittsburgh is at the vanguard of so many of these things. We're Washington. But we're there too. And that's why it's so important that we stand here today demanding and directing these technologies as they develop to make sure that there's accountability. Just for a second, one of the problems with AI is that we sometimes think of it as a tomorrow problem, something that we'll deal with in the future, or we'll let it unravel and we'll see where it is. But just for a second, just think about our picture. There's a single mom, right? She's applying for housing. She has to study work. She's done everything that she was told to do. and she still gets denied. And it's not because, not by a landlord, right, who she can talk to. It's not by a person who can explain why she was denied. She got denied by an algorithm, right? No reason given, no path to appeal, and the harm is very real, even if the decision maker is invisible. It isn't the future that we're talking about here. We're actually talking about things that are happening right now. We're told artificial intelligence is neutral, right? Or that it's objective. But the people hurt first and worst already know the truth. The reality is that technology does not exist above our society. It reflects every bias and every inequality and inequity that has yet to be fixed. Right now, algorithms help to decide who gets those jobs, who gets approved for a loan, who gets targeted by law enforcement, and too often the burden falls on the Black communities, brown communities, immigrants, poor and working class people who are already dealing with their share of burden in an equitable society. And that's why the reintroduction of the Artificial Intelligence Civil Rights Act is so important. This bill puts up the necessary guardrails in an age of dis and misinformation. If technology is shaping people's lives, then we have to mitigate the harms that it can cause, or in some cases are already causing. We can't allow companies to hide behind code when their products discriminate. People deserve transparency, real oversight, and a human being who is beholden to civil rights law on the other side of life-changing decisions, because our lives are just not experiments. Our children are not tests, data. Our communities are not beta versions that get sacrificed for speed and for scale. I represent neighborhoods that know what it feels like to be over-policed and underinvested and overlooked. Communities that have been redlined and exploited. Communities that have always been told to wait for justice. And we can't allow artificial intelligence to become the next tool that deepens those wounds. So we have and can have innovation, but never at the cost of civil rights. We can build new technology, and we are building new technology, but it cannot undermine the protecting of human dignity. These goals do not have to compete with each other. So today we're saying what comes next must be fair, it must be accountable, and it must belong to the people, not the corporations who profit from it. So I thank all of the folks who are standing with us today, leading on this, both on the inside of Congress and on the outside. It is one of the most preeminent issues of our time, and we cannot afford to drop the ball. So thank you so much.
Now, we needed brilliant technical assistance in order to put together this legislation, and we had it in Damon Hewitt, who is the president and executive director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under Law. Welcome, Damon.
Good morning. Good morning. That was a nice greeting. My name is Damon Hewitt. It's getting better, right? Thank you for breaking the ice. I'm so proud to be here this morning, proud to serve as president and executive director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under Law. Thank you, Senator Markey, for your leadership, Representative Clark for your leadership, Representatives Jayapal and Lee, and also Presley, who couldn't be with us here today. You have and had the vision and the fortitude to reintroduce the Artificial Intelligence Civil Rights Act, a civil rights act and legislation for the future. We're proud to endorse this bill and also proud to have partnered with you in this development. At the Lawyers Committee, our mission is to ensure that Black people and other communities of color have voice, opportunity, and power in every aspect of life. That includes ensuring that digital tools like artificial intelligence operate in ways that are fair for all communities. Through our client and community interactions and through our litigation on these issues in the courts, we know the largely unregulated use of artificial intelligence has come with growing harms to our communities. Every day, millions of Americans are being impacted by the outputs of complex algorithms that, frankly, few people really do understand. Algorithms make decisions about all aspects of our lives, determining who gets bail, who gets a job, who can buy a house, who can rent a home, where we can go to school. Over and over again, promises of innovation end up yielding discrimination. That must stop. Facial recognition tools, as we know, are overused and error-prone. Most of them have been shown to demonstrate bias. Pricing algorithms discriminate based on who we are and where we live. Corporate and government surveillance using AI is commonplace, yet there's little oversight or even recognition about these abuses. Because these algorithmic technologies are built using data that reflects generations of discrimination and redlining, they often replicate and reinforce generations of racial discrimination. Because the teams that develop these tools don't reflect our communities, there's so many blind spots and biased assumptions baked into the tools. And because inadequate testing doesn't actually address the harms that are clear and obvious, our lives and our experiences get reduced to laboratory conditions, not real-world problems. The tools of the future, as you've heard, are locking us into the mistakes of the past, but it doesn't have to be that way. The new and growing ills of AI offer a stark reflection and an opportunity as well. We face a monumental choice as a society. Will we blindly pursue largely unregulated AI no matter who gets harmed? Or will we pursue innovation in a responsible way, in a way that has AI actually working for us, not against us? That requires guardrails and regulation. The tech companies want us to trust them, but that trust cannot simply be given. They haven't earned it. We know that technological innovation holds great promise, but not on the backs of our communities. Tech advancement must be people-centered. It must be guided by our collective health, well-being, and safety, and it must be guided by civil rights guardrails. Now, with the Artificial Intelligence Civil Rights Act being reintroduced, we have the possibility of a brand new tool to make that vision a reality. The act presents an opportunity not just to fight discrimination, but also a chance for real people to have a say in how artificial intelligence is used and impacts their lives. It will prohibit algorithmic discrimination, point blank, require independent audits and third-party examinations before tools are released, ensure that people know when AI is being used on us and about us, but also offer a mechanism for accountability in the courts and otherwise. These are all common sense solutions that will benefit everyone. Senator Markey, Congresswoman Clark, Jayapal, Lee, and other sponsors and co-sponsors of this bill, thank you for understanding that AI is not a niche issue. AI is a civil rights issue. Just as the struggles of the civil rights movement led to movement building and also new legislation, so too the challenges that artificial intelligence present today must lead to new legislation. The AI Civil Rights Act is the most comprehensive piece of legislation that this Hill has seen. It's exactly what our nation needs right now. At the Lawyers Committee, we'll continue to fight these battles alongside our partners like Maya Wiley and our members of Congress, and we intend to win, not for a policy debate, but for the people, because this is the future that we deserve, a future of fairness, a future of justice, a future of opportunity that is not stunted by technology. Innovation is not greater than our civil rights. Thank you.
And next, we have a historic leader with us, Maya Wiley, who is the president and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. Welcome, Maya.
Well, I'm over-caffeinated, I'm cold, and I'm wet. And I'm still very grateful to be here. One, Senator Markey, you have always been a stalwart champion for people's rights, particularly when it comes to technology, but not exclusively. And to our, all of these leaders are historic and giants in my book, and so grateful for Congressman Jayapal, for my own Congresswoman Yvette Clark, that's Brooklyn, y'all, and Congresswoman Summer Lee, because this is an historic piece of legislation, and I just want to say to my dear friend Damon Hewitt, and to the Lawyers Committee, which is a critically important civil rights institution in and of itself, that the leadership that this piece of legislation embodies is about whether now today we are going to chart a course for a civil rights-rich future. Because artificial intelligence is a paradigm shift. And the Leadership Conference, which has been in existence for 75 years now, and in 1950, when we were first founded, with a convention of 4,000 people who came together to try to figure out how to make this an America that lives up to its ideals. And it formulated the long-standing and critical pieces of civil rights legislation that today artificial intelligence is making less relevant. that today a Supreme Court that I will call supremely unjust is unraveling, and at a time when 80% of the American public understands exactly what these leaders know, which is a deep fear that artificial intelligence is going to do more harm than good, and a demand for a plan that includes slowing it down if necessary, because guess what innovation is not? Harmful. Guess what innovation is not? Discriminatory. And guess who needs to be protected with civil rights laws? Everybody. And just some of the stories we know, and that lawyers have been, like the Lawyers Committee have been litigating, like a Marie Lewis, who had 16 years of perfect rental payments. And yet an algorithm would not count her Section 8 voucher and said she did not have the money to pay her rent. Imagine in a time when we're fighting about affordability and the ability just to have a roof over your head, and a black woman at that. Or I think it was Gary Loken, but in Wisconsin, on Medicare, who was told by an algorithm that his life didn't matter. And his family had to find $12,000 a month to keep him alive because an algorithm said he didn't deserve to live. This is what we are talking about, and this is what the American public understands. And just remember that when we're talking about civil rights, because we are in an administration that is refusing to acknowledge this fact, it protects every single one of us. 70 million people in this country have a disability. What race are they? Every one. And we know that an algorithm even discriminates against someone qualified for a job, maybe because they have a facial tic, because they have a disability. And that is discrimination even when it's a white man. So we stand here today to say this. As a civil rights community, as elected leaders committed to making sure this is an America that lives up to its ideals, we won't stop until AI is truly innovative and until we have the three legs of the stool that this legislation represents. So thank you, and just know this. We, as a civil rights community, roll deep, we roll hard, and we roll long. And we're going to keep on rolling.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is incredible. Over in the Senate, I'm introducing the legislation with Cory Booker and Elizabeth Warren and Mazie Hirono and Jeff Merkley, and there are many other senators who are now interested in the legislation. This kickoff is going to help us to get even more sponsors. That's our goal. And again, I'm just going to conclude just with 1 minute, just to give you the outline of what is in the bill. Algorithms are being used in critical decisions, including employment, banking, healthcare, the criminal justice system, public accommodations, government services. It's now across our entire society. The bill prohibits companies from offering, licensing, or using algorithms that discriminate based on a protected characteristic such as race or sex. It requires companies to complete independently audited evaluations and impact assessments to identify and mitigate any algorithmic discriminations. And it provides individuals with the right to appeal a decision made using AI to a human decision maker, and it authorizes the Federal Trade Commission, state attorneys general, and private individuals to enforce this law. So we're putting teeth into this law. We're setting a standard. We're not going to back down, and we are going to win because this is the issue that AI presents for our society. So I'll stop here and answer any questions that anyone may have. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Emma. I'm with Emlist. It's a two-parter. I was curious how this bill would interact with existing state laws. Would you see it as a floor? Are there any other? I know Colorado has done some stuff in this direction. Are there other state laws that you took inspiration from? And then secondly, a lot of rumors going around about preemption language in the NDAA. So for the members of Congress, would you vote for an NDAA with that language in there, and any message to congressional Republicans who are trying to push this through?
Yeah, and the answer, this legislation is a floor for the whole country, not a ceiling for what any individual state might want to put in place in terms of their civil rights protections. And yes, while they failed to build the AI moratorium language into the big ugly bill back in July, we actually battled that at 2 a.m. On the floor of the United States Senate, and we actually won 99-1 on that vote. So now, very cynically, they think that they can add the same language to the defense bill, thinking that it is a must-pass piece of legislation. Well, they're going to have a big surprise with regard to the resistance they're about to receive, and I think on that as well, it will be bipartisan. Would you like to say anything?
Well, I can only speak for House Democrats because unfortunately we're not in a bipartisan climate. And the moratorium on AI at the state level has no support. Full stop.
And I just want to reiterate that the civil rights community is very clear that preemption is not going to happen on our watch, that it is critical. And remember that civil rights laws, both this federal legislation and legislation in the states, are both necessary. And state legislatures should be able to do more, not less.
Question. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Great. Thank you.